Greetings, I am Lies.
And I am Scandal.
And
let's play a game together. Yes!
So as we were listening to this bouncy, adorable little music, which if I'm remembering correctly, is the original music of the game, because it was the first song we started with.
Yes.
And is actually, I think, the menu song as well.
Yes.
There's this cute little bit of and you could do this adorable little hand jive thing to it, and I was totally doing it.
Yes.
While we were doing our sound
Also,
test.
though, guys, I gotta tell you. So sometimes you don't think about it, but I gotta say, if your air quality is bad, your life gonna suck.
So we have finally figured out how to get our house a little more filtered and a little more sealed in reference to all the fires near us. And we are feeling so much better. But doing this gaming, even as we're like, yay, play a game together, being organized to like write about it and post about it and edit it and stuff, has been a trip because we've both been weirdly exhausted by super bad air quality. And just...
Now, there's still some other things we're struggling with for sure, but whatever.
But this is
it's
so much
fine.
better, yay!
Yay! I just wanted to be like small victories.
I've been hit in the head with a cookie. That's so nice of you. You even told me that you did it because you were irritated with me, but it's still so nice of you because food is so nice.
I'm starved.
So happy. I'm just really happy.
Theory hugs the cookie.
I'm just gonna reach down and pick it up off the floor like a baby and hold it gently against my chest. Cookie, I will not say you're my only friend, but in this moment you are my best friend, and I am going to eat you, and it will be amazing.
No, Sayori, really? That's your only friend. Until you eat them. And then they will be gone.
And then you will have no friends.
Jays just ate it.
But it's inside plastic, and I have to open it. Yeah, okay.
Well, Sayori rapidly tears the wrapper open and takes a big bite. Nom 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 nom.
Let's describe. Oh no, okay. So good. Uh-oh.
Alright, Sayori suddenly clasps her hand over her mouth.
I bit my tongue.
Oh, poor baby. I have done that shit before, and that sucks.
It hurts.
You're going through a lot over just one cookie. Natsuki takes a bite of her own cookie because, of course, Natsuki just is master of, like, bakery thingies. Is she a confectionery? I don't know. Or is she a baker? She a cookie-ary? I know.
A cookie chef.
A cookie chef.
Like
that sounds made up.
She's she cooks, pastries. Or
So she's a baker?
No, I don't think that's it. Oh. She just chefs things in the oven.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yours looks really good too, Natsuki. Can I try it?
Cheese.
Natsuki, I made 5 different kinds of cookies, and one is for each person individually, and now you're asking to try mine after I gave you your specific special cookie.
Oh my god. Beggars can't be choosers.
But yours...
It is a different kind of cookie.
Uh-huh.
I actually thought for 2 seconds they were gonna go, she's so... So
hungry.
The thing is she's so basically gonna be, they're gonna be like, no, she's actually super selfish and very, she's, the airhead thing is just an act, which is fine, I guess, but they've pulled that card so many times in regards to female characters, sometimes
it's okay. I was terrified that when she bit into the cookie and said, ow, that was gonna be the horror element, and we would just have blood coming out of the mouth, and there'd have been something going on. I was ready for it.
I was too!
I was ready for, oh shit, there's razor blades in the cookie, like that super bad urban legend that has been completely equivocally proven to be untrue.
Absolutely.
But yours is chocolate.
Yeah? Why do you think I gave you that one?
Fine.
Because I made them. I wanted chocolate.
So when I made the cookies that I chose for, I made that one for you. And this one for me.
Though honestly, I have to say that's pretty impressive. Did you really just be like, I'm gonna make single batches of only one?
Okay, so
that is so fucking petty.
I have seen these ridiculous 5-minute crafts or baking hacks or things like that where people are like, you can use a brownie pan, with those little boxed out squares instead of a cake pan kind of thing, to make 12 different kinds of cookies. And the thing is you use a brownie base and then you put a completely separate cookie recipe into each one nested in it.
You're
and I'm like,
kidding?
Did you honestly make a 1 cookie quantity of each of those completely different cookie recipes so you could nest it in a brownie?
I'm also
because that's what those are.
That's completely ridiculous because that requires a level of skill and awareness to know what your ingredients are, and I have to tell you, that's a higher level of pastry chef than I would expect out of most people in their normal kitchens with their regular fucking ingredients. No, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go out and go get enough ingredients for 12 different fucking cookies. Like, that is so bourgeoisie, like, bullshit.
And some of them are gonna be like doubled up with actual like product ingredients, where what you've got here is, an Oreo wrapped in your chocolate chip cookie dough, nested in your brownie batter. So you've got 2 recipes you're making and a product that's already made that you're putting in, and then other ones you're nesting a whole candy bar inside of, like a snickerdoodle recipe.
That is
other ones,
so performative.
And they're like, it's so easy and fun, and then you look so professional. I'm like, holy shit, since each one of those usually comes with a 2 or 3 dozen recipe for those cookies, you better be making like 13 or 15 dozen of those brownies to then like sell at a bake sale or something.
Yeah, like,
otherwise
that's ridiculous.
you're sitting here. Okay, so like the little tiny hamster eating little tiny burritos video.
Oh
okay?
yeah, yeah. When that used to be a huge thing for a while.
Right. So imagine instead that you have a cookie recipe that's actually made to only make 1 cookie, but it makes like 5 dozen teeny tiny hamster-sized cookies, and you use that one to make your stuffed, gourmet fancy cookies.
Don't give them ideas.
Anyway, of course it's preposterous, but it just is really funny. Where they're like, this is a really easy hack. All you have to do is make 12 separate recipes and then put them all into individual cups of 1 pan, and it looks like magic.
Right? Well, I think that's always bothered me about those videos anyway, because like I just said, that is so performative.
Yeah.
For you guys, really radically, you've probably
heard
it before.
all have identical bake times.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. That's really not.
Fine. Still, I'm really happy that you shared this one with me, and you were definitely thinking of me because, as they said in the text, the what? As I can see, it's a huge cookie, and I love that.
Sayori gets out of her seat and goes behind Natsuki, then wraps her arms around her.
Hold on. This was Sayori sitting in front of us? That was Sayori sitting the whole time.
Oh.
Because that looked like her standing, and I had gotten the impression that people were standing in front of us. But if Splat is sitting like on one side of the table, and they're just sitting across on the other side of the table, and Monica and Natsuki have just been sitting at the same table with all of us, but out of sight, and then we sort of just shifted our vision or our awareness to include Natsuki as she threw the cookie across the table, and we can't actually see her here. Unless we look around back over to her. And then Sayori gets up out of her seat and runs over to her seat and then hugs her from behind.
It's an interesting convention, but again, it's like, you guys, they really are just sitting here listening to each other.
But also, when did we figure out that everyone was sitting? If she stood up, she has to get out of her seat. When did she get in a seat? She was there talking to us about coins standing over a table. Or were we sitting down with her coin purse? I am lost.
I don't know either. That's really weird.
All right, arms.
Aw, jeez. I get it. Cookie still in hand, Natsuki reaches up to nudge Sayori off of her.
Oh.
Sayori suddenly leans down and takes a bite out of Natsuki's cookie.
Oh, so we are supposed to make her being sort of underhanded and basically make it seem like, or have the potential to interpret that Splat is an unreliable narrator, and then go, no, Sayori really is a bit like manipulative or kind of a liar.
Or again, she's just being playful. Like, I've seen people do that going, I love the bite, and then they, like, especially with friend groups, you don't know what this kind of behavior is. We're all assuming, actually, that this is way more aggressive in some ways, especially with the inclusion of, at least within the context, again, of the narrative, that we're playing a boy character, and everybody's acting weirder than usual.
We also don't know, again, as my friend just pointed out, and which is a really good observation, we don't know what these girls act like on their own.
Yeah,
we have no idea what their friend levels or familiarity with each other are, whether or not these are normal behaviors, or whether or not they all just went off the rails when we arrived, or what.
Yeah, which, most of the time, as far as I can tell, in regards to most Otome games, or most stories that suddenly involve a harem anime, basically, most of the girls, if they're especially all interested in the guy, basically they all lose their shit and are extremely obsessed with boy, and everything goes,
even
like
if they were really good friends beforehand. Not anymore!
Bitch, fight me!
So, to me, that's a really aggressive behavior, but that could be because of my background, and I've never had friend groups that affectionately steal food, and to me it is stealing food.
Oh, yeah.
Because having grown up really poor, food sometimes was extremely important, and it was all you had. It wasn't like you could just buy more, get more, find more, anything. Sometimes it was the only serving. And it was one of those things where, especially even like if you're sharing food with one of your friends, there were a few times where it was a real emotional experience because we were both sharing the same thing together, like a slice of pizza between two people. And there's this real solid experience of if you don't carefully consider how much you're eating versus the other person, or talk about what an equitable division is, someone's feelings can really get hurt because you're both hungry.
Yeah.
So that I personally interpret as being really aggressive and also underhanded, since she just got told no. But that my friend has a good point that may not be what that is, because we don't know who these friends are together.
Granted, I still think this is super weird too. Whenever I was younger, this was considered to be a little bit rude. But weirdly enough, like for me, there was this level of going, you just don't take people's food. Like
well, that's what I mean. That was mine too.
Yeah.
You don't trick people about food. You don't make jokes about food. Like any of those like Vines or YouTube videos or pranks to do with tricking someone about food, like the whole April Fools. I brought brownies to class and they're paper brown colored letter E's.
Yeah.
Like after you've made everybody excited for food. That kind of stuff when you are poor and hungry feels like emotional betrayal. At least it did to me and the people that I knew that didn't always have as much food as they might have wanted.
This is why we should support people in getting access to food and get better healthcare, y'all. Anyway.
Now, I have to say that my mom and my dad never let me go hungry, but when I say sometimes, didn't have as much food as they would have wanted. So, especially in reference to like special occasion or treat food, while I wasn't going hungry, I didn't normally get to eat things like pizza or brownies or, ice cream. Anything that was an expensive thing or a treat was for me usually a couple of times a year or only at birthdays or when someone else was paying. And so if someone's like, oh my God, we have ice cream. And they're like, yep, joke. It really was a big emotional deal for me because I'm like, oh, that's a thing I never get to have.
Which is probably a thing that we should teach each other, is actually to be more aware. Not saying that kids need to be basically performing emotional labor for each other, because that starts really early. But I'm like, there is a thing that it's like, unless we can basically sort out the issues with people having better income than they do and have better living situations, because especially right now, there are millions of Americans who are going hungry.
And especially in reference to the COVID experience, there's a lot more going hungry than normal.
What was it? Like they said, like 20 million people are starving right now?
Or not getting enough food.
Yeah, not getting enough food.
And
it's really sucky.
And what I was going to say is that from the culture I grew up in, because food is a sometimes life or death situation, like food is a basic need. Like designer clothing is not a basic need, video games are not a basic need, those kinds of things, but food, you do not actually survive without it. It being poor and basically in a poverty situation and surrounded by a lot of people in even deeper poverty than myself, there was a really strong experience of you do not make jokes about needs.
Yeah.
You just don't mock them. You can make jokes about all kinds of other shit, but not a need.
Yeah.
So food was never the object of a joke or teasing.
Right. Take that bite out of Natsuki's cookie. Hey! Did you seriously just do that?
Uh-huh. Or
That's it.
Oh, is that?
Mouth full, Sayori trots away to safety.
So now she's not sitting and she's not at the table.
Yep.
I guess.
She
and we'll just assume that Natsuki is sitting. I guess.
Now I'm kind of torn. I'm like, well, Yuri and I laugh as well because, you fell for trusting someone. How could you?
Or clearly this is a level of familiar joke that you nonetheless get, frustrated about. And some friends have friend jokes that are what I would consider to be like basically minorly harmful behaviors that are played off as friendly because that is the only way they know to do it. So best way I can describe it quickly, and it's a concept that I'm familiar with, is essentially there's a harmful behavior that you see modeled with other people that they act like is familiar and comfortable.
Yeah.
So then you start mimicking that harmful behavior with your friends and you go, this is familiar and comfortable to us. And even if it hurts someone's feelings or makes them uncomfortable, there's this experience, but yeah, we laugh it off. One of the easiest examples is some girls going, and it doesn't mean guys can't do it too, but it's going like, we'll just insult each other for fun. But some guys have done it too, where they'll just be like, fuck you, so-and-so, and that's how they grade each other, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it starts hurting, or sometimes it hurt anyways, but then you try and own it and go, but it doesn't have to hurt.
Right.
And sometimes it'll just hit you like she's blushing and looks outraged, and then you go, yeah, but it's funny and I'll do it later too.
So another good example of this that I have is actually one, and I know some people in the crowd have definitely interacted with or at least seen the McElroy brothers. So this is an example of, like, for me, where I tried listening to, for example, The Adventure Zone, and I actually ranted to my friend about this experience where The Adventure Zone is a podcast, and it is a role-playing game, tabletop game, that was run by the McElroy brothers and their dad. And I stopped listening to it because of them. I thought the story was interesting. I thought the basically world sounded fun, but I could not stand the level of what I perceived personally to be abusive sibling behavior and basically torture of your GM. Where in this scenario where they were like, this is clearly hilarious. Like, you could listen to me, the main brother, I believe is Griffin, who was running the game. I can't really remember. It's been some time. Where he would literally be like, they would be torturing sometimes the NPCs, which is a thing I don't really like, because I'm like, not everybody has to be a dick in a game. And also, why are y'all so disrespectful literally to your brother's game where he has spent time literally developing music, developing soundtracks, developing all this plot, and y'all just want to step all over him, and that was bizarre. Now, certainly for me, as a player, I went, why don't you guys do something else? Because to me, as a listener, it made me greatly uncomfortable. Because everybody that I ever interacted with about the Adventure Zone, as far as I saw, everybody thought it was fucking hilarious. And I was like, this is one of the most fucking uncomfortable things I think I've encountered, where they are just being nasty, in my opinion, to each other and think it's funny.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Jokes at the expense of someone else have never entertained me, even if they're conceptually funny.
Yes.
We haven't just ran into one with my friend today, earlier, but it's just, we often run into them, and my friend described this experience with listening to The Adventure Zone, and I never checked it out, and I have largely just never really thought about it, except for this description that Scandal had with it, and it is something that sounded so familiar, where you hear someone going, I've been really thoughtful and really careful and really attentive, and then you have other people that are in their group, whether it's for a group project, whether it's for a performance or a presentation or whatever, where you get this sort of group bullying mentality of, sure, we're all working together, but we're picking on you.
Yeah.
And I've seen it even like done in movies in a tropified kind of way of, oh yeah, we're all in the clubhouse together, but we're going to continually make you uncomfortable, your life hard, do jokes at your expense, but you have to be here for some reason that's important, such as you're the GM, so you don't get to leave.
Yeah, and you can't back off, and this is what you all agreed to do, and you're stuck somehow.
And so, yes, funny is cool, but when one person is continually frustrated and just blocked into a corner and they really aren't laughing with everyone else, I don't think their frustration is funny, and the original joke loses its funniness for me because of that frustration.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yuri and I laugh as well, which is to say also, so I will put this out there again. I have been playing Splat in a really mean way, and Splat has been pretty nasty.
Yes.
If any of you guys are ever uncomfortable with that, please feel free to leave. Because that's exactly what I did with the Adventure Zone. I never went after anybody for enjoying the content. I literally also genuinely at one point just kind of asked going, I don't understand this. I just would like to understand, how do you guys find this funny?
And that might be a thing, is like, if you're in a space and you're going, wow, Splat makes me really uncomfortable, feel free to make a comment and engage if you want to, or again, like my friend said, walk away.
Yeah, because that's one of those things, again, you are also responsible for curating your media experience.
What is nice about this experience is neither of us are offended or hurting each other, and everyone inside the game is fictional.
Yes.
So there's no one here that is at the expense of these jokes, because both of us are having fun together.
Yes, absolutely.
Which makes it different, in my opinion.
Yes. And I can also, though, see how sometimes, like, inflicting something on a fictional character that you might, for example, vibe with or feel, a sense of, like...
But it doesn't mean you can't feel sympathetic or uncomfortable for that fictional character's experience, because that is part of how we connect to fiction, is through our emotions.
Well, and it's also part of the reason why people write stories. You write them to connect to ideas, to connect to other people, to talk about,
and to connect,
share
emotionally.
Yeah, Yuri and I laugh as well. Jeez, you're such a kid sometime. Monica, can you tell Sayori? Huh? Natsuki glances around. Monica isn't in the club room.
Oh, we didn't even notice. All right, so there's only been 4 of us here the whole time, and Monica has been missing.
Where is Monica anyway?
And, okay, confirmed again. everybody's attention was completely and utterly on the MC, on Splat. So much so that they weren't even, like pretending not to eavesdrop. They didn't notice that their club leader wasn't here.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
That is actually pretty fascinating.
Good question. Have any of you heard anything about her being late today or not seeing her in school potentially?
So this is the beginning. Sorry, sometimes I get a little bit confused with these timelines because it seems to be starting sometimes in the middle of the club meeting, and other times it seems to be starting at different points.
See, and this one they actually did earmark it that it was the very beginning because remember Sayori's whole money thing was we have time before club starts.
Right, okay.
So this one they did tell us.
Okay, that's fine. All right, well, in the next one, we can find out more about her being late today. So thank you guys for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Please also feel free to share our videos if you're having a good time with us, or if you want to talk about something, or use this as a jumping off point. Who knows? Other than that, though, if you want to establish like a greater line with us to support us better, please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi or our Patreon. We got some links in the description down below. And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you.
Bye!